The Lake Forest podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. We offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, and J.M. Joe Weiss. Skoo Walker.
Skoo Walker, good morning.
Salutations. Happy New Year.
Keeping it lit, baby.
What up?
I got edited, I think, in some of those photos for Moshe. I don't know.
Nice lid.
Well, it is kind of small. I'm that yarmulke guy. There was 2 of them. Little chubby guy. I could have fit in there if the legs were longer.
Oh, you mean the dreidel?
Yeah. Well, there's a blue one and there was a pink one. That's one of my questions for Moshe. Moshe. I think that's what we got to call him. Moshe. But anyways, the pictures went up yesterday. I went through them, saw them. Prue was in a lot more of them than I was.
She's more photogenic than you. Nothing personal.
Well, I don't know. It's like Jackie O back in the day, the way she goes through town.
Pete, you seem so perplexed in that last show you did.
Perplexed?
You okay?
Are you talking about Deerpath?
Or something. You just,
I was bummed.
you got so emotional.
Well, it's my wife's birthday, and Deerpath screwed it up. And
Hello.
Moshe.
How are we doing?
Rabbi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Rabbi Moshe.
Happy belated birthday, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, officially, happy birthday, Joe.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
We've mentioned right before, right after. Now we devote this entire 4 seconds to Joe Weiss. Happy birthday. Half Jewish.
Cheers.
Hey, Moshe, you throw on a hell of a spread, man. I saw people taking the hats, and I'm like, wait, they're not putting any money down. So they're free. What?
Yes, they were. And I like that you're wearing it.
Of course.
Sorry, my name is Moshe. What is your name? I don't know if we've ever met.
Skoo Walker.
I'm sorry. Skoo Walker. I'm an original host.
Got it.
He's the voice of Lake Forest High School. Go to any football, basketball, and whatever other games they play, you'll hear his voice.
Okay.
Dreidel races.
If you need insurance.
All right.
Dakota Insurance, that's right.
Go to insurance.
got to ensure that menorah. So Moshe, how did it go down? It looked like it was a great crowd. It was rainy, muddy. Who cares? Once you got those two dreidel guys out there, it's a pretty day.
Yeah, I know. I mean, thankfully, even though the weather was not the kindest to us, but people definitely turned up. It was definitely a nice large crowd, larger than last year, and I'm sure it would have been bigger if not for the weather, but we're thankful that it was as it was.
Why don't you move the date to August?
We in our form of Judaism, we stick to the holidays
Okay,
when they are. We don't pick and choose.
fair enough.
Didn't you the first year move it to Gorton Center though, because the weather was just so bad?
Yeah, so that was it. That was it. Was I think the field was like below 20 or below 30. It was like it was the worst night of the year. Um, it's definitely difficult to do it outside at that time of year. It's always risky, but at the end of the day, it's Market Square, so I think it's important to have Menorah lighting over there.
How about the headlines with all these wannabe journalists, of which I include my name in there, that said, despite Lake Forest's government's pushback, they will allow Moshe to go up there and do his one day. You got any thoughts on that, Moshe?
Which part of it?
The part is the headlines that go out there, they're saying Lake Forest is they're trying to insinuate something, which I can understand. I'm a man of controversy myself, but there's no controversy. It's if we do the same thing for the Jews, we got to do the same thing for the Jesuits. I'm getting ahead of my skis here. The Christians, Joe, half Joe.
Christians would be a safe way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thing is, hey, Rabbi Moshe went out, did his thing. The Catholics didn't come out to play. They could have done their one day. Am I looking at that the right way?
So there's a few things. First of all, the fact is that Hanukkah is an 8-day holiday, eight
Yeah.
days, 8 nights, and we had it up last year, and to go and take that away, it's difficult. Whatever the reasons are, it's not so simple, and it doesn't send a good message to Jews and non-Jews alike who live in Lake Forest. So I think it's a very hard thing to do, and you could expect a backlash when such a thing happens.
Who's got to who's got to pay for that thing, Moshe? That's a big that's a liability trying to light that thing. I almost had to catch Randy Tack there.
No, well, Chabad of Lake Forest is fully funded locally, or 99% locally funded.
Okay.
We do fundraising. We're open to donations from all. So,
Of course you
but
are.
yeah, the event is definitely covered locally from people who are generous to Chabad and support the cause.
The reason I bring it up is I've gotten some messages on it that said that, nobody wants to take responsibility for that thing while it's up, the cost to maintain it and all that, and the insurance and good thing we got Skoo here. But that's not the
To
case.
maintain what? To maintain what? The menorah with the bulbs?
Yeah, whatever the display is going to be, who's going to keep an eye on it, who's going to pay for it, and all that. And
I mean, the menorah itself, we own, Chabad of Lake Forest owns. There is no cost to the city. And I mean, whoever watches the tree from getting this, from anything happen to it, I guess would also make sure the menorah is up and standing and running. But it's not, it
But-
doesn't take too much cost to keep
so
it
that
running.
wasn't an issue. I've gotten messages that was
Not that I'm aware of. The
Okay,
message,
all right.
what I'm aware of is what the city has been saying, that there are legal issues.
Okay.
That's
Got it.
all
Okay.
yeah.
So wait.
So the city, from what I had heard, and this goes back to, I guess, a Supreme Court decision many years ago, that a tree is considered non-religious, and therefore, even though we all call it a Christmas tree, it is, according to the government, a holiday tree, and that is okay. But if a Christian church
Okay.
wanted to put up a nativity scene, it would fall under the same parameters as a menorah or any other display of a specific religion. Now, I mean, to most of us, that seems really goofy. But I guess the concern is because in other communities, we've seen where the atheists come in and say, "Hey, where's our display?" And they put up some really obnoxious display saying, God doesn't exist, and Jesus is a fraud or whatever, and some absolutely crazy messages. And then even at the state capitol in Springfield, there's a satanic worship cult that has gotten a display up. Those are extreme examples, but I think, Market Square is a very beautiful location. I don't know of anyone that would think that a menorah uh, uh, wouldn't be out of place there, but some of those other displays really would be obnoxious and disgusting there to see those types of messages. I don't think anyone would object to a menorah. I don't think anyone would object to a nativity scene. But when you get into the
They
Constitution and
did.
all that stuff, somebody did. Somebody did. But and there are there's no Hindu holiday in December. There's no Muslim holiday in December. But what if then a Hindu church comes when Diwali happens? Do they get a display up in Market Square? When it's Ramadan or some other Islamic holiday, do they get a display up in Market Square? I guess that's the whole.
Well, that's why they
Right.
removed the nativity scene and all that to avoid what Joe you just rambled
Right.
on about.
And when was that? How long ago are we talking about? Like 40 years or so? Or less?
90s, I
Oh,
think.
really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't
Well,
want to
and
get
they got
too much
complaints
into
last
the,
year.
But you can
right.
also look at the city.
Well,
There's a difference between a church, synagogue, or whatever that's putting their own displays on their own property versus they're not doing it on St. Mary's doesn't do it on city property. I believe they put it on their property. Other churches and synagogues or temples or wherever
Sure,
do it on
a
theirs.
private property, whether it's a church or
Yeah.
a business, is free to, or your house, you're free to put up whatever you want. Absolutely. But Market Square, at least that square part where the grass is,
And there is
uh,
liability issues for the city
Well,
on
here,
their property.
Skoo, on liability, let me just read the note that I got. Obviously, it's anonymous. Everything that gets anonymous, but
Of
that's all right.
course.
Uh, just listen to the show, blah, blah, blah. At one of the meetings, the menorah issue came up. We were told that in 2023, the rabbi was allowed to put up the display. In 2024, the rabbi wanted the city to install it, maintain it, and take all liability regarding the display. This is the reason why it didn't go up. It was an
okay.
issue.
Well, that is not the case. I mean,
Yeah,
originally I approached the city the same way I did last year. When they said that that's not going to work, I offered that the city can put it
yeah,
up themselves. If I can't, let the city do it. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Again, there's a lot of false things that are, of course, I mean, we're all familiar with this concept.
Well,
Not everything you read is true.
from an insurance standpoint, the city rents out their spaces all the time to other groups and all that, and the other groups provide proof of liability insurance and listing the city, and so there's a whole process from a liability standpoint that needs to
Well,
be
we
the
had
city has to follow
liability. I
through.
did get a insurance for the event. So, but again, we didn't discuss, like, the city did not get into technical issues with why they're not allowing it. So we never
I,
went that route.
I
But you
like,
would
I don't want to
characterize
get,
the city. I think there was
sorry.
a connotation, and Pete talked about some of these crazy headlines that were written about it. There was a connotation that Lake Forest or the city was being anti-Semitic, and you, to your credit, put out that statement on Facebook saying, "Look, we may have some disagreements here about 1 day versus 8 days and that, but this is not rooted in anti-Semitism at all, right?"
Right. So true. I mean, at least it's my belief that I don't think it was from an anti-Semitic, that the city is not coming from that angle. Um, but again, the fact that people responded in that way, I think is also valid. And that is because Jews, the way we are right now, are being targeted from all corners. And it's when something gets taken away, especially in Lake Forest with its history, it's bound to cause such a reaction of people thinking that it's anti-Semitism. And as much as it's not true, but it's bound to happen, and I wouldn't expect otherwise. And told the city that I wouldn't expect otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean,
But again, I would hope that
expect-
all these people that are claiming the cities, whatever. I mean, that's unneeded.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
true. It's
Agreed.
unneeded, and it shouldn't even be
Agreed.
talked about because it's invalid.
Well, it was a hell of
Right.
an event, if I can throw HE double hockey sticks in the Menorah Lighting event. But yeah, you had people coming together, and
Yeah,
everybody was Jewish for that 2 or 3 hours.
absolutely.
I'm still waiting for my approval card to be stamped.
And I heard I didn't watch the recap yet, but I heard that you wanted a menorah and you were told that you can't get one.
Not
But,
many people
no.
tell me what I
Pete's
can't
gonna
do.
hold
You
it
can
in
stop by
his
my
front yard next year.
house and I'm happy to give you one.
You know what?
What was that?
I would do that, I think. And I would
You
also I would also there's got to be a way. Look, the liability insurance for that menorah, what do you think costs more, Skoo? The insurance or the cost of the swag of getting these hats? I think the hats cost more.
No question.
Yeah. So if it's a money thing, I don't think it is. I think it's more of a PIA thing. You guys can look that up later, where they just don't want to get involved, let it, simmer down. But there there should be a space, I would think. I'm not the most religious guy. I definitely show up at funerals and weddings. Uh, but shouldn't there be a place where people can show up, and if Moshe wants his 8 days, boom, you got it. If the Muslims want, I have no idea, but here we go.
Moshe, do you have a temple or place where your folks go to worship, or
So we're currently still in the beginning phase, so we're based out of our home.
Hmm.
But we like rent spaces for bigger events and more intimate things we have at our home. The plan is to, in the next little bit, to get our own space for the synagogue and for a center, but takes time, especially in Lake Forest. It takes a little more time to build up a Jewish center, just because it's not the community is not as large as in let's say Highland Park or
Yeah.
Deerfield.
Did Highland
Yeah.
Park go through this? They're well on their way into this. But did they have issues like this starting up? Was there a Moshe back in the day in Highland Park? Like, how did that start? And then,
You're saying in regards to the menorah itself?
yeah, in Highland, I'm looking at
Yeah.
Highland Park like Lake Forest could be Highland Park. We could have been like them 40 years ago,
Right.
50
And
years
I
ago.
am not sure the specifics of Highland Park itself, but I know that there is a lot of cities in Chicago who have like a designated area
Yeah.
where where everybody could put up their stuff. I mean, I guess that would be an option. But
What would be the
I don't want to get
downside
too
of
much into
doing
the
that?
legal aspect of it, but you were saying that the tree is not considered a religious display, and if you allow menorah, you have to allow everything else. I did speak to a lawyer, the main lawyer who has dealt with this menorah case for the past 40, 50 years.
And
And
he's still
the
getting
way-
paid for it.
He actually no.
Okay.
He just
I'm
he
sorry,
does it as a
Moshe.
favor right now. He
Pro bono.
believes in the cause. Anyway, he explained it to me that even though a menorah is a religious object as opposed to a tree, but when you put up a menorah as part of a holiday season, it does not require the city to put up all other religious items, because putting up a menorah as part of a holiday display is not an endorsement of the religion, as opposed to putting up some random thing at a random time of year. It's not it would be an official endorsement of the city for that religion, and that obviously the city is not going to do. So you could differentiate between a menorah and other things from a legal standpoint, and this is something that went to the Supreme Court, and that's what the Supreme Court said. So there is definitely room to make the menorah happen, and I hope that will be the case next year.
And
isn't it a
there's
combination? It's not necessarily a legal issue, isn't it? An ordinance. Joe, you're an expert on Lake Forest ordinances and laws, but I believe isn't it an ordinance about
I don't know if it's an actual ordinance or a policy. I don't know the
policy
exact.
ordinance? I mean,
I think there's some talk amongst some of the folks on council that they should revisit whether it's an ordinance or policy, that they should revisit it because what Moshe just said, and whatever that Supreme Court ruling was back then, the Supreme Court today is a very different court, as we've
Right.
seen for some other decisions recently. So I would think they would be much more open to allowing religious displays, whether it's menorahs, whether it's nativity
Right, but it's
scenes,
not
things
a
like that.
legal issue they're required to. It's a individual city policy if
So,
they
like Lake
choose
Bluff
not
put a
to get
menorah
involved
up.
in that.
Moshe,
Yeah,
did Lake
we're
Bluff had a
they
menorah up?
they did, and we're very thankful to them for allowing us to do it. And I think that it definitely brought a lot of joy and a lot of happiness to people seeing them in Lake Bluff after the whole
Right.
noise that it made in Lake
How
Forest. I think it was very, very meaningful to people. I mean, I
yeah,
know it
yeah.
was.
Rabbi, how did Lake Bluff do it? Like, if because nobody's watching or listening to this show, Moshe, just us Jews here, Jews for the hour. Like, how did they do it? What is this? We bring up the problem. Hey, Jews want to celebrate, and it's 8 days. Okay, great. We need a place to put it to where people aren't going to be upset. How did Lake Bluff do it? They just did it, and nobody complained, or there was not an
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I requested it and they granted it right pretty quickly.
But I guess
We're
we're missing
thankful
the
to
point
them.
here. The reason is it's an ordinance or a policy of the city. It's different. Maybe Lake Bluff doesn't. That's the issue that has to be addressed is, moving forward, does council, what's the process? Does the city have go through something to maybe revise it? And they have to look at the ups and downsides of, if we do
Right.
one, do we have to do all of them? Or
And I
that,
definitely
that
don't
isn't
think,
that is an
yeah,
issue that has to be resolved. And I think it's not get a lawyer, but I think it's the city and the council trying to figure out what works best for the community.
right. And I think that discussing it in a public format and everybody giving their opinion on how to do it, and I think these type of things work better and things get more accomplished when it's done not with a lot of noise.
Well, yeah,
good. Good
and
luck.
on social media, when 99.9% of the people calling Lake Forest what it is not from Lake Forest, that's a big issue too.
Right, but I mean, I guess that just brought awareness to this whole thing.
Right.
If that noise wasn't made, I guess there would not even be a discussion about having a menorah for
Right.
the future. So I guess there's always the silver lining, you could say.
Yeah,
Is
and I
that
think
now there's at least a discussion, and hopefully in a quiet
right.
way we can accomplish some stuff.
And hopefully the city is looking at moving forward how to address those issues, but I don't think it's a comparison. How does Lake Bluff do it? Well, they probably don't have
Right,
an ordinance or something in place that kind of questions it.
Well,
right.
we don't know what's in place. We need
Right.
Rabbi's attorney to come on. Hopefully, he's a mensch and he'll come on and explain this to us. But I think where people get in an uproar is when people think you're hiding something from them. And once you put it out in the open, oh, this is boring. They don't pay attention to it anymore. And I think, Lake Forest is a pretty big place for 20,000 people. There's got to be somewhere where you can have a space where people can go and celebrate whatever faith that they have. I just
Well, there's
don't.
a lot of places, and the parks and all that can be utilized. But has anyone explored that? Is there a reason Market
So
Square? I can guess
did
why,
ask the
but
city. I mean, Market Square is definitely the ideal place, but I did
right,
ask the city if no Market Square, at least give me somewhere else, and they said that anywhere on city property off the table. So
right.
we did try all routes. I mean, I had a someone who has a store on like right off Market Square on Western, and he told me that he's happy for the menorah to go up right in front of his store, like not like on the sidewalk where people are walking, but closer to the
And
street.
it's again pushing some issues with the city. It's like, why can I rent West Park for an event, and all I got to provide is fill out the forms and prove my proof of insurance? Why can't you do that?
Strong, valid. So
That's
I'm
just
like,
got to
what?
be explored. I mean, that's what's got to be explored with the city instead of just jumping to, all this nonsense. It's just, okay, what way can we work through this? If it's not Market Square, where in the city can we do it? and what do we need to do to
But
do
at
it?
the same time, you don't want to just be thrown into like a little corner where no one will see it either, right? Like you don't want to park
Like
that no one goes to
an
and just to
exhibition
be
hall,
able to
Moshi.
yeah. So I mean, I think it's got to be somewhat in a public. It's got to be in a place that people go to. It's public. It's seen. And if not, I mean, I think Market Square at the end of the day is where everything in the city happens, and again, that's where the tree is. So,
So the downside is, let's just say Market Square, you have a period of time. You need 8 days for the Jewish people. Are there any like I don't know, Ramadan, what's the other one? Kwanzaa.
Diwali.
Kwanzaa has candles too, right?
Festivus.
Fest but you'll have these people who'll come out and say, "Hey, you're inhibiting my rights to celebrate Festivus." But there should be a Festivus
Well,
pole,
they were decorating the American flagpole in Market Square, Festivus wise. Because all you need is a pole.
I got,
Again, that's a joke
yeah, I
for
see
all you
that.
people not smiling. You know, like, oh my God.
Skoo, that's why we have you here. But what would be the downside to Market Square? You're saying that some outside, Joe, you're saying some people from outside, the atheists or some bad actors will come up and put something up that they'll say, well, why can't I
I'm
put
I'm
my
saying it because it's happened in other towns. So, and a lot of times the displays in other towns are like in front of a city hall that no one really goes to. So I'm thinking of Glenview as an example, where the atheists did have a really obnoxious display, but the Glenview City Hall is like on a street that no one really go. You only go to City Hall if you're paying in Glenview if you're paying like a parking ticket or whatever. So very few people actually see it. Market Square is the focal point of our community, of our central business district, and no one has an issue with the menorah, and I don't think anyone would have an issue with Diwali or a Ramadan theme of tasteful stuff like that. But like I said, there was an atheist display in a community that was really crude and obnoxious that had what I would say is insulting everybody else's religion by saying God doesn't exist, and Jesus is a fraud and things like that. And under the First Amendment, they had a right to do that. So that's where I think the logic was coming in, like, oh my God, we're going to open, no one has an issue with the menorah, but what if the atheists want to put some
Moshi,
crap
what do you
up
think
or whatever?
about that? Because they say it's not a Christmas tree, it's a holiday tree. So that means the grass around the tree is holiday grass, and we're celebrating a holiday. Well, how
so
would you
I
feel?
think, yeah, I think that goes to what I was saying before, and that is that if you're looking at it, if you're looking at it as a pure legal standpoint, and you're worried that if you allow menorah, you also have to allow those signs about not believing in God or stuff like that, you could differentiate between the two. So, in other words, if you feel that like if you allow one, you have to allow the other just purely out of a legal standpoint, then there is you could differentiate between the two. Now, if you're just saying
Now,
that you don't want to
a
hear
way I think
anything
you could
completely from
differentiate
people,
it.
say that again.
I was going to say a way you could differentiate it that I've been thinking of. I don't know how legally valid it is, but Chabad of Lake Forest is a group that exists within the city of Lake Forest. So I don't know of an atheist temple in Lake Forest. I don't know of a satanic worship
Well,
cult
where's the
in
Chabad
in
in
Lake
Lake
Forest.
Forest?
What
They
was that?
meet privately in people's homes.
No, we have constant programming that we do.
Sure.
But is it out of
We're
your
we're in a
house, Mochi, or you rent places?
It's so the smaller things are out of my house, but then the bigger events are we rent. Like we've done stuff in the Gorton Market
Right.
Square, the big menorah event. Sometimes we do in people's homes, but we're an official nonprofit religious organization. Um, so yeah, we're definitely a full legit, and we're part of a big umbrella organization. Chabad is not just in Lake Forest. We're,
Right.
as I mentioned, at Market Square in Illinois itself, there is 50 plus Chabads around town, and then in the world there are thousands. I mean, I
Very
myself,
fast growing group. From I listened to the speech the gentleman gave at the lighting. I watched the video later, and I didn't know that history that he had given. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
So
So I mean,
I
I
I
grew
was
up.
talking around, and my understanding, and I could be completely wrong, that last year was approved to do as a one-timer. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it was a one-timer, why not? Why didn't you work with the city to expand it to more than one time? Or if you
So
didn't, then why not now work until next year with the city to see how we can work through whatever issues there are to resolve those and, make it a permanent deal.
I mean, last year there was no mention of it being a one-time thing.
Okay.
I think it was understood that it was for the future. And if I recall, after Hanukkah, I think like there was such positive feedback. I think there was maybe even mention of like, yes, like we look forward to doing this on a yearly basis.
Gotcha.
So
But that's where
obviously
I guess
nothing,
the city and you should be working through it. Like I said, if you didn't do it last year, this year,
right,
and figure out how. You got 12 months to figure it out.
right. And I mean, someone did mention to me um, that like if the city already knew that they weren't going to be allowing it this year, they should have reached out to me and told me that way back,
Sure.
shortly after last year or whenever they came with
Probably a
that
lot of
decision.
miscommunications and
Yeah,
assumptions.
I guess that's the bottom line. That's where all issues start when there isn't
Right.
good
And
communication.
that's a criticism I've heard from within the city from folks is we did a bad job communicating because
Well, we're seeing a
they
lot of that in the city right now with a lot of stuff that's
we
going on.
did they did the one timer last year was because of the October 7th attacks. But like I said, I think there's some
You know what they say
feeling
Well,
about
I wasn't
assume.
told that. I was never told that. Yeah.
yeah, but I think now that the issue has come to light, my understanding is, and I hope the city follows up on it, is that they do want to revisit the policy because again, there is no one being anti-Semitic and doesn't want to be labeled anti-Semitic. In fact, Randy Mayor Tack has gone out of his way to always be there for that ceremony. So he would certainly
Absolutely.
But
not
again,
want.
if the city decides it's not in their best interest, then just like the removing the nativity scene, people didn't like it, but oh well, you know.
Yeah, and it could
So I
be,
mean, it's
sometimes staff, and I don't mean to berate staff because staff does a lot of good work here, but sometimes staff has a different perspective than the mayor or the council.
Right.
well,
So
they also have a different perspective on what the internal liability issues are, as opposed to we sitting here
sure,
and
right, I am
projecting what
sure the
they should
city
do.
council, the city general counsel, the city attorney, whatever his title is or her title is, it was consulted through this, and you know, uh, lawyers often are the ones that say,
And a
you
lot of
can't do
issues
it.
with liability is it's not a big
Yeah.
issue until something happens, and then it's a big issue.
Yeah.
And when you're mitigating risk, like the cities tries to do, that
Sure.
potential risk far, you know,
But
outweighs
I
the.
think I think this will start the conversation, and I hope like I'm pretty sure. I don't want to speak for them, but I've heard from a number of folks that said, "Hey, we need to do better
Right.
on this, and let's work on having a policy that works for this." So hopefully that happens.
Yeah. We're
Moshe,
looking forward to working on this. Absolutely.
Moshe,
Yes.
are you tight with all the other religious leaders in town? Like,
I
do you
have
hang out?
not,
You
no,
have
I have not
Manischewitz?
met with them. We've never met. No.
There's no like religious council that gets
I'm
together
dead
of all the
serious.
churches in town and stuff.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, it could be that churches do it. I mean, I guess we're a totally different religion.
Pete, you
So
need a podcast with all the
Wait,
representatives.
hold on.
That'll be a really long show.
Well, no, we're talking we're talking about the greater good here. So what accomplishes the greater good? Just stifling things on people's beliefs or running the risk of some imperfections coming up? How many atheists are there in Lake Forest? I don't know. One too many, I guess. It's going to cause the problem and legal bills for the city, I
right.
guess. But
Yeah.
but if there's a coalition of religious leaders, and I always wondered about that because who's right? Because you guys are all competing against each other for.
And what's the and this
Where
is just an old timer saying Lake Forest, Lake Bluff. You talk to some Lake Bluff people, it's pretty much one community. But why not just utilize Lake Bluff for the menorah if they're able to do it? And it's not like it's miles and miles away.
So, I mean, I think that just like there is a tree in each city at the end of the day is its own city. I mean, I think the menorah should be the same way. You want to bring the holiday, the menorah, the Hanukkah holiday joy to as many people as possible. And if I was able to put it up in more than one location in Lake Forest, I'd be doing that too. So it's really, I mean, I think the minimum that I would want to do is at least one in each city. At the end of the day, it's two separate cities. But I mean,
And in
let's
the
say
story of Hanukkah, the 8 days is a very significant part of that because they survived 8 nights, right? I mean, you can tell it better than me.
the oil survived 8 nights, yeah. But
Right.
actually, there is part. I don't want to get religious, but part of the celebration of Hanukkah is to spread the holiday miracle with the menorah, and therefore, the more you can spread that holiday miracle, the better. So, if to just suffice with one in Lake Bluff and not in Lake Forest, you're kind of taking away that commandment of spreading that holiday miracle. So it's not. It's also meaning part of the holiday celebrations is to spread that miracle. It's a big part of the holiday, not just to light in your own home, which everyone should be doing, but also to spread it in a public way. And that's why I think it's important not to just suffice with Lake Bluff, but to also have one in Lake Forest.
Now, did you talk with some of the different property owners in town about putting on their property?
I did with a couple, yeah.
Businesses? West Lake Forest, that's squares out there?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to some managers. The owners don't necessarily live here, or their names are not even public. So I did reach out to the managers of the properties, but they went to their owners. I didn't have a conversation with the owner themselves. And one of them, I think, said that he definitely loves the idea, but maybe he was just like worried about maybe some customers won't come, which I don't think is the case. But they have they could say whatever they want, meaning it's their property and they can, you know.
Well, I also think people need to do their own homework rather than just looking at headlines of like I put an article out
Easier.
there. What?
It's easier to just read headlines and make decisions.
But
For
no,
sure.
it's Rabbi Spalter overcomes Lake Forest objection to putting that people got to read down. You have to, even on a 3-paragraph article, you got to read down and look into it. So we pointed the fingers at what's going on, Rabbi. What do you think would be, offer up to a couple solutions you think that would work? So if that's a holiday tree, then Market Square.
You're all about solutions to the problem.
I'm
Solution
all
to the
about
problem.
discussion. Yeah, go ahead, Rabbi.
I mean, I don't know. I think there is room for the city to figure something out, and I think the more it's done without a lot of public noise and stuff, I think that's the best way of getting it accomplished. But I do think there is solutions, and as we've spoken, I mean, the city can put one up, or I can put it up, and there is legal room to allow that, and not some things that they won't appreciate. But yeah,
So-
I mean,
Rabbi, you said you mentioned you use Gorton. I think personally, Gorton's a fantastic place. You get more people there.
It's too expensive.
it's
It's really
fantastic
expensive.
place.
You can't.
Fantastic place for what?
The what?
It's a fantastic place, and you get more people in the sense
Gathering
of
place for the community, and they do a lot of stuff there in the community at Gorton. And why not?
well, we do
there.
some stuff there too, and I think it is a great place, but I don't think it's the same as having once a year a Hanukkah celebration and having the menorah up there. as part of a holiday.
Well, and
this way. I
also,
don't think.
from the city
So
to
you want
help
Market
promote.
Square?
Yeah,
I
I would want
definitely, I
Market
mean, first
Square
of
if
all,
I
the
was
event
Moshe.
at Market Square, I think, is very
Okay.
meaningful, that's for sure. And I think also to have the menorah there for 8 days, I think is very meaningful. And the person who started the petition, the reason she started it is because she moved to Lake Forest a couple years ago. And, she was Jewish herself, and she was, apprehensive and uncomfortable about her move to Lake Forest.
Right.
And then suddenly she's walking in downtown Lake Forest and she sees a menorah and she couldn't believe it. It made her so emotional. That's when we were connected for the first time. And suddenly she doesn't, this year she hears it's not happening. It hurt her, and it's made her start rethinking her whole move here again. Like last year, it made her feel so much more comfortable that she moved here. And then now it's like, wait, maybe I should retract my feeling comfortable here. So I think having it in a prominent place, I think it really makes Jews here, feel comfortable. And regardless, I encourage, meaning I think it's a good place for Jews, and Jews should be moving here, and they shouldn't be scared because of this specific story. Because again, I don't think it was not coming from an anti-Semitic standpoint. But listen, at the end of the day, why should they be running here if they're feeling this way? I'm not talking about what the actual reality is, that the city is not anti-Semitic, but feelings of a person. You can't argue with feeling, right? So,
Well, and as you said, given everything that's been going on, unfortunately,
right,
it is a natural tendency
yeah,
to feel to have that reaction without. And I had some very good friends who are very, very smart people, and all they saw were these basic stories, and they're like, "What the hell's going on in Lake Forest?"
right.
So, but once I sat and explained it to them, they're like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. I get it."
But one
So,
person's personal feelings is not a reflection on the entire community and should not be, draped that way. I mean,
Of the entire community, you mean like the Jewish community here?
I'm talking about the entire community of Lake Forest should not be blanketed, with what these people have been posting. That's not true.
Right, but Jews are naturally going to feel that way, whether it's right or wrong. That's just a feeling. And again, you can't argue with a feeling, and I think that feeling
I'm with you.
I totally get it. I get
it
it.
doesn't come from nowhere. That feeling comes from a very legit place. It's from a very understandable place that they're feeling that way.
But that feeling's not coming from Lake Forest. That's a different global feeling, right?
But
Either way,
You're saying people are afraid to move
not,
to Lake Forest?
again, it's not about whether Lake Forest actually believes these ideas, but when they're not allowing a menorah, it automatically causes a person to have that feeling about the city. It's a reality. That feeling is there. I mean,
okay.
Let's talk about
I get that.
Other setting aside what I think we've talked enough about the Menorah situation and how it goes forward. Talk about Chabad and how's it? I know we've had you on before, but is it growing? Events coming up, things like that.
It's definitely growing. We're finding more Jews. I mean, this whole thing definitely found us a few more Jews, but no, yeah, where we have ongoing classes, weekly classes. We have holiday programming, men's events, women's events. Yeah, we have stuff going on, and we keep adding more and more. We're also working with Lake Forest College, so we do some programming with them, with the students there. It's a small Jewish population there.
Oh, that's a great idea.
There are some.
Do we have any idea what the Jewish population is of Lake Forest? Is there any data anywhere of it, or
Lake Forest, the community, or the college?
the city?
The city. My rough estimate is 1,000. That's what I would say, which is a decent amount, a lot more than anybody would have imagined. Yeah, again, it's my rough estimate. I don't know how.
Lake Forest College is private, right?
Yes.
Will they let you do something over at the college?
Well, it has to be done through through like a student club. So we
Okay.
have some students who have a club over there that we work with, like a Jewish club there that we work with.
Now, is
But it
that
sounds like you're more geared, you want it it's in Market Square as opposed to other areas.
I want it again, as I said, it should be in a public place. If there is a great location and it's not Market Square, that's okay with me too. That's fine.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I think Market Square is the heart of the city, and that's where everything happens. And you know, I don't know. Do you have any other ideas that you're thinking of other than Market Square?
Yeah, Gorton. That is a
But
hub.
just,
It's a half a block away.
yeah, but it's totally a
They have
separate.
concerts there. They have, a whole bunch of stuff.
It's just not the
But
same.
if there's going to be a tree lighting on Black Friday in Market Square, and no one's arguing that there shouldn't be a menorah lighting. The city never disputed saying, "Hey, you can have this ceremony." The issue was how long the menorah was going to be
Right.
displayed. There was never an issue of the actual ceremony.
Right.
I think, obviously weather is what it is, but I would think that if you didn't do it in Market Square and you did a tree lighting in Market Square, that would send a really bad
Exactly.
message.
And I mean, I don't think the discussion here should even be about making our event in Gorton. Why, meaning why? The city doesn't think that. The city's happy to host us. At least as far as I'm concerned, I think the city's happy for us to have an event at Market Square. I think the main
Yeah,
discussion is
I mean,
really
the mayor
about
was there.
the
He made a
menorah should
point to be there at both times.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And yeah.
Rabbi, what can you do about you got to use a different device to get those candles going? Because I can see why liability could be an issue. I thought we're going to lose Randy a couple times.
I think it's just about taking that little leap. I don't think a leap in Judaism, a leap is always a great thing to do. So you just got to take that leap and everything works. So it's a spiritual leap, a physical leap, and it all works, as we saw.
I don't know if that works in court, but so explain to me the dreidels, Moshe. You got the big chubby one, shorter, chubby like me, but it spun around, and then you had the blue guy who had the floppy. I think his whatever that blue thing wasn't extended. What are the difference between the two, so I understand it? Because I had a great chat with those two fellas.
One is a better costume and one is a worse costume. But if you want to know what the dreidel represents,
Yeah,
it represents during the story of Hanukkah, Jews were not being allowed to do their religion, to be Jewish in a public way. They weren't allowed to learn Torah and keep the commandments. And so they were doing it in quiet and hidden. The little kids would gather with their teacher and, in the secrecy and study Torah. And then when the Greeks would come in, they would quickly hide their Torah books and start playing dreidel. So that's the history of the dreidels.
I didn't know.
And since then, it's become one of the icons of Hanukkah, and I guess general Judaism. One of the more popular items in Judaism.
Who was the governmental representative? I thought Brad Schneider was going to be there.
So he was trying to be there. He doesn't live here, right? He lives in DC, and I think he was trying to get a flight, but I guess he couldn't make it. And Bob Morgan, state representative, he was able to be here, and we appreciate his being here. He's been a huge advocate of Israel in general. So, and he, as I said, he's the chair of the Jewish caucus here. So
Fair enough.
I think he has a future.
Moshe, what's next? How do we get recruits for you?
Recruits.
Yeah.
So that was something I was going to say earlier in the show, that someone made a reference to competing. I don't remember who it was.
That was me.
In Judaism, okay, so in Judaism, we don't try to convert people to Judaism. It's not something we do. Some other religions are trying to recruit. That's not what we do. We don't recruit. If you're Jewish, you're Jewish. If you're not, you're not. And so we're not competing. We're recruiting Jews. We're not recruiting people to convert to Judaism.
What about Joe Weiss? He's half Jewish. Can you get the other half going? Or that's just not
We're not going to convert him. We'll accept him as is, and there's no reason. We believe that whatever God made you, that's who you are. So if you were born a Jew, you were meant to be Jewish. If you were born non-Jewish, then you were meant to be non-Jew.
What about
the
what about all the differences within Judaism and we talked about that a little bit last time you were on, but there's conservative, there's reform, there's orthodox, there may be others and I just don't know them, but is there some, because I remember kids that I grew up with in high school that were Jewish, but were kind of Reformed Jewish when I knew them. And then I run into them 25 years later, 30 years later, and they have a beard now. They look like you, and they're going to an Orthodox temple. Something happened. So is there some conversion happening within Judaism?
Number one, the Rabbi Menachem Schneider, who was the leader of the Chabad movement, he always used to say that a Jew is a Jew. There's no difference. There's no reform. There's no consider. There's no Orthodox. A Jew is a Jew. That's all you are. We're all one. There's no difference between each other. The way it's practiced, some people have different customs. I mean, obviously, the most straightforward, following the book is the Orthodox way. I mean, I don't think that's debatable. Meaning, if you want to actually just follow everything from the Torah, then that's what the Orthodox Judaism is. There is within Orthodox different degrees to it, but the general idea, that's what it is. I think conservative and reform was kind of just a way to kind of balance the goings of the world together with Judaism. So it's kind of a mix of those two. But again, we don't make differences by us. We don't, as you see, I'm Orthodox. The people who are coming to me are Jews of all types, Jews from intermarried families, Jews who belong to a Reform temple, belong to conservative. We specifically, I'm not specifically, but moving to Lake Forest, we're not attracting the Orthodox community, obviously. So what Chabad is, what we're about is just getting Jews to celebrate their Judaism, be Jewish and be proud, and that's what we're here for. So we don't make a difference here in Chabad of what type of Jew.
Rabbi, what happened to the show Magic Door? Do you remember that? Sunday mornings?
I do.
All right, us older people, there was a show called
I don't.
With it.
Did they have
I'm
puppets?
familiar.
No, he had this two little guys living in a mushroom, I think.
Yeah.
And I watched that as a kid. I'm like, wait a minute, that's all about the Jews. I had no idea. You could have had me right then and there. You could have had me.
I'm not familiar, so
All right. We'll put a little clip right here. Don't worry about it. So what's
I
coming
do
up?
remember that, Pete.
Well, there was a lot of.
Yeah, I think it was Channel 2.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. Yeah, or maybe 6 a.m. I don't know.
I don't remember it, Moshe, so
early.
don't feel alone here. I think we're younger. We're younger than Skoo and Pete, so that's why.
All right, so here we go. We're at the pub. You know, we're having some Manischewitz, and we talked about what's going on now. What's
I think next time we should bring some l'chaim to the show.
Yeah, and bring your mensch. You said the attorney's name.
Say that again.
Your attorney, the mensch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What is a mensch, Moshe?
We've discussed this, I think, last time.
I know, but we got a new audience.
A mensch is just a good person.
Good person, right?
A good person. That's what a mensch is.
That's all we want to do. We want to make more mensches in the world. Ain't that right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if people want to reach out to you, Moshe, you're on Facebook, you're on social media, you're out there, but how can people get a hold of you?
Facebook, email, there's a website, jewishlakeforest.com. There's a way to contact me. Yeah, we're pretty accessible.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Do we forget anything, Rabbi? Anything else we can do to help out? I don't know if we helped or hurt, but
no, it's I think we should just be united, Jews, non-Jews, be united as a community, and just bring light to this world. That's all I can say. Keep pushing for light.
The light.
And
Light.
pray for the release of the hostages in the Middle East.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and just be a mensch. That's the bottom line.
There we go. Be a mensch.
Ah,
Rabbi
Yeah.
Moshe Spalter, Joe Weiss, Skoo Walker. Another fine religious episode of the Lake Forest podcast, where we were all Jews for the last hour, and we'll see you at the next Menorah Lighting. What's the next event for the Jewish people of Lake Forest, Moshe? And we'll let you go.
The next like big event will be Purim.
Wait, what?
So Purim, that's like in March, I think. If I'm not mistaken, this year it's in March
PL
14th.
Purim?
Purim.
Purim.
Oh,
Purim.
okay. I thought it was like
That's the next, yeah, no. So that's the next big event, but we have again, we have weekly class, and then we have some Shabbat dinners, and we do some men's events, women's events that will be happening before then. But yeah, the next big one is definitely Purim.
at that Gorton Center, I'm just throwing out another idea for a rabbi, and I'm sure you'll hang up after this one, but I think we should do something for you at Gorton Center. I think they should pitch in the rental fees, show Fiddler on the Roof, and we'll have an event out there in the parking lot, and we'll go, "Do you love me?"
I think Fiddler's a annual movie they show there.
I think so. I think
Is
so.
it? Yeah.
Do you consider that is that a Jewish movie?
I mean, it's about a Jewish Orthodox family.
Yeah. So we're just trying to, connect the dots here. I think that could be
For sure, yeah.
Hey, there you go. You
I'll
heard
be
it here
honest,
first,
I
Moshe.
don't watch movies really. I don't really watch movies, so I'm not too
Fiddler on the
familiar
Roof,
with
you saw
movies
it.
in general. But yeah, I guess that Fiddler on the Roof is about a Jewish family, so
Okay.
Jewish and Orthodox.
We're just
Not
planting that
necessarily
seed for
portraying
next year.
the nicest part. It's a bit of a sad story, but from my understanding, yeah.
All right, that's all I
All
got,
right.
Moshe. I'm doing what I can for you. 99% of success is just showing up. So
I
we all
appreciate it.
showed up.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you for being there, and we missed you too. But
Can you bless
for
the
good
show?
reasons.
Can you bless the show before you go?
I bless the show that it should just bring. I don't have too many blessing powers. I'm not a holy man.
I'm giving you the
But,
power.
It should bring a lot of happiness and a lot of light into the world, and it should always be a positive thing to the show. Never bring the negative.
Right. That's what this podcast is all about. We are all positive.
Ah,
Gentlemen, thank you for showing up. Great show, all.
Thanks, Moshe. God bless you.
Thank
Hey,
you for having
Moshe,
me.
keep it lit.
All the
Nice
best.
swag, baby. Love it.
Absolutely.
The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, and J.M.